Oh, no.
and had a little problems. And so I'm just leaving the hospital.
Oh,
But she's
How
fine.
long is she gonna stay in?
No, she's getting ready to go. My daughter's
Oh,
gonna take
okay,
her home.
all right. We'll talk later about
Goodness.
that.
She's okay.
Okay, well, I'm glad
She
to
just
hear
couldn't
that.
wake up from the anesthesia.
Oh, that is not good. We'll talk about that in a little bit. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. Tonight's meeting, October 26th. Meeting. We'll go ahead. I don't know how y'all want to do this. Do you want to, I mean, we don't have to accept the agenda. We can just move along with it. If you would like to, we can. It's just a formality. Or if there's no objection, I can say accept the agenda. We do have one addition that probably won't take 30 seconds, and that is from Monhaven Green. And it is a request of their subdivision to reduce the speed limit. I think it's 10 miles an hour. I think it's at 35, but it will, they're asking for a reducing to 25. And I have that here. But we can, if there's no objection, we'll put that at the very bottom of the agenda items, item 5. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and do that. No objection of accepting of the agenda. We'll go ahead and just adopt that. The minutes, I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's been a proper motion and a second.
I was out.
Yes, sir, you
So
were.
I'm gonna have to abstain.
That's not a problem, and I'll second the motion due to the fact that we had two of the committee members there. Any further discussion on the minutes? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It passes unanimously. We have one abstention, I believe.
Yes.
Alderman.
Thank
you. Okay. And Eddie abstained on that vote, took him without a count. The next one is ordinances and resolution. It's a resolution 2021-50, a resolution to allow the parks to apply for entity partners grant.
So moved.
Okay, there's been a proper motion and a
Second.
proper second discussion. And Andy, would you like to talk about that?
I can. This is a grant that came to us through our city's insurance company. Our intent is to add additional security cameras in parks areas with this, kind of like what we were just looking at on our phones. It is time sensitive. They give them out on first come, first serve basis. And so we put this on BOMA tonight, hopefully also pending approval.
So think we have much of a chance to get it since we're arbitrating with them. Is this the same company? we're
Yeah, I
arbitrating
guess we'll
with?
find out.
Good luck with
We'll
that.
try.
How many cameras are there currently?
I think we have 7 LPR tag reader cameras at the various entrances. And then we have at Mary's Magical Place, 6 regular security cameras. We have 6 at Volunteer Park. And we have 6 at our Drakes Creek Park maintenance areas at this time. This grant, we hope to add them at Sanders Ferry restrooms and parking lot by the big shelter that's been having a lot of vandalism, and hopefully at Memorial Park around Kids Kingdom.
And how many cameras can you get for, is it 2,500 or is it 5,000?
Well, it would be a total of 5,000. Basically, what we've seen so far in the areas we've added them, doing like one park at a time, has been around $2,500 for a system that'll give us 6 to look at.
Okay, so you can get 6 for 2,500?
That's what it's been.
Sounds like a good deal to me.
And do we know exactly about what time our time frame is on this once we submit this?
I don't know. We've never done these before. These used to all go through HR,
Right.
and they would apply for these kind of safety and conservation grants. So I've never done one of these. I'm not exactly sure.
So this is different from the LPRs. This is basically just security cameras.
This is a basic regular security camera.
Okay.
Which is helps. I mean, the LPRs are great, but if you don't know what color car you're looking for, or it's hard for them to know what license tags to be on the lookout for.
Okay. And these are for the outside of the restrooms and not inside, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I know Metro was wanting to get some LPRs, but there was concerns about,
Them being too liberal.
Yeah,
Well-
really.
They were afraid of public
violating
information.
rights and
Right.
things like that, but,
We have already added some at Centers Ferry restrooms, but we don't have the whole area covered.
okay. Is this reducing any crime or?
I don't
any
know that for a
destruction?
fact. I would say since we've added a couple and signs that say smile, you're on camera, we have not had any more restroom vandalism there. I don't know if that's a coincidence or not.
Okay. That's all I
That's
have.
pretty cool. Eddie, do you have anything to say on that? Or?
No, I've read it and I support it.
Okay, I do too. All right. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, is everyone ready to vote? Does anybody need the motion repeated? Hearing none. All in favor of resolution 2021-50 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it passes unanimously. Now, will this go to finance tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if you would just let them know that we adopted it and we would pass, would like it to pass at the moment as well.
I will do it.
Thank you. Item B is an ordinance 2021-43, increased stormwater funding ordinance.
I'll move for discussion purposes.
Okay,
Second.
and there's a proper motion and a proper second discussion. Go ahead.
So Jesse, we're increasing the drawdown of the stormwater fund with this action, correct?
Correct.
And at the present time, what is the balance of the stormwater account? Do you know?
When we started this year, I believe it was 1.5 million. If my memory serves me correctly.
It was 1.25,
1.25.
I think.
Okay.
Yes, 1.25.
So with this increase in expenditures, what do you anticipate we will have as a balance at the end of the fiscal year?
That's going to depend on the capital projects and how quick those capital projects move forward. From what we've seen, I anticipate those capital projects probably pushing more to next year than this year. So
That's not good news.
no, but realistically, I think some of those funds would more appropriately be used in the residential neighborhoods that we're out fixing every day.
So I guess, we're going to have a balance though. I mean, you anticipate
Oh,
a
yes, sir.
balance.
Yes, sir.
Even
Absolutely.
with this increase from 300,000 to 1.225.
Yeah, and we had originally scaled that amount back because we wanted to submit some projects for use of American Rescue Plan Act funds. However, the state has asked cities to wait to finalize their ARPA expenditures until the final rule comes out, which hasn't. And their eligibility review period has not come out yet either.
Okay.
So instead of waiting to do these projects to when we can get an eligibility review, we had proposed to do them now. And we can still submit for reimbursement on these projects because the reimbursement period goes back into 2020.
Yeah.
But
And replenish this
correct.
with it.
It was just originally when we were doing the budget, this was probably a cleaner way to do it. Had those ARP funds rules came out and we could establish a list and then we could add it to the budget. However, if we don't do it now, I just don't want to delay the projects that we could do in residential neighborhoods.
I agree.
And the fund as a whole has a lot of money in it, and we're just putting some in a line item. And we're not going to go over the total for the fund balance. And some of the capital projects are probably going to be a little light on their
Because
schedule.
we can get reimbursed for that, correct?
That is our understanding.
It's our hope.
Yes, sir.
Our hope is that
Okay.
the federal money.
The guidance on stormwater was very vague in the interim guidance. It just said it's an eligible expense, and that's all it really said.
But that's more than it said on a lot of other stuff.
Yes, sir.
Amen.
I mean, to me, in my reading of the federal act, the two areas that were most amenable to spend money was bonuses for first responders and stormwater projects.
Yes,
To
sir.
me, that was the focus. So, so is this increase from 300 to 1.225, will that cover Mary's Magical Place, or was that already in the 300,000?
Mary's Magical Place was appropriated separately. So this 1.25 at the beginning balance is really 1.75, but we already accounted for 500,000 in Mary's Magical Place.
Okay,
So we have Mary's Magical Place set aside. So that
okay,
beginning fund balance was really 1.75 with 500 dedicated to Mary's Magical.
gotcha.
So this won't affect the 500,000 appropriated for Mary's Magical.
So I support the motion.
All right, great. Question?
I have a question about page 11. Is this 2021 projects or is this 21, 22?
These are projects for this fiscal year.
Okay, I've added up both columns. Completed, in progress, and planned, and it's roughly 1.2. Are these equally divided between all 6 wards?
These were not,
Okay,
wards were not considered in the compilation of this list. This was based on outstanding projects that we had identified that needed to be addressed within the city for various reasons, but
is there,
stormwater.
are there more, or are these isolated to maybe only certain wards, stormwater, drainage, or is that citywide?
No, these are citywide,
Okay,
yes.
I just want to make sure that we're, looking, are these based on priority or emergency? How do you rate these projects?
These have been identified, yes, based on severity of the issue, so priority of.
And also from interjet complaints.
Yes,
That,
which are
that's the
primarily-
major thing.
On
Complaints
severity and complaints?
Yes,
Okay,
yes. And some of these projects have been on the city's books for quite a while.
I see. Well, there's quite an extensive list of completed projects, and I'm glad to see those. But I'm sure there are plenty more to do, and I'm glad we have the funding available. And I also support this ordinance.
Yeah. This is a good ordinance, but not only is it a good ordinance, they've really been working hard. Most of you all probably know, or maybe have not had the time, or maybe it just hadn't been on here as long as I have, but I look at all these on the completed projects. And I can tell you, I said, well, that was a wreck. I can see that. I remember the people having wrecks or running off into a ditch and that kind of thing. I can see right now, or whether it was running into a house. And I look at all those and I go, I can remember when they did complain about it. So you're saying that, we're looking at Ward, how it fares up with everybody else. I wish they all could be like that, but on this particular one, I don't think we could have done it that way, because some of them are way old, way old.
Yeah, we have particular areas that are more prone to flooding because they're in the floodplain.
Right.
And a lot of those areas are in mine, but conversely, there's very few of them in Ward 5 because it's higher ground.
Mhm.
It seems like if you go back in time, you look at Ward 6, that was probably an area that stayed flooded a lot before TVA built the dams. That was probably constantly a flooding area. And so I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that whereas we have equally bad roads in all parts, in all wards, I don't think you can say the same thing about stormwater projects. I think there are some areas that are worse than others.
Yeah.
But
Thank you.
I think that's a valid question to ask. And it does look like to me that most all wards are included, at least on some of these projects. So.
Any other further discussion on this motion of 2143? Do you have anything to say on that? Mayor, how about yourself?
Yeah, good. I appreciate y'all supporting this.
Sure. Jesse? Yeah, no, you've already kind of explained it to us, but is there anything else that you might want to add or anything?
No, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. There's been a proper motion, a proper second. Does anyone need the ordinance repeated? Hearing none. Is everybody ready to vote? All in favor of ordinance 2021-43, which is an increase in stormwater funding for our city, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, it passes unanimously. When, yes,
Ask
sir.
one thing to the mayor. Talking about floodplains and FEMA mitigation. What about that existing house that that was part of a buyout?
There were several.
Have they all been purchased?
Yeah, so it's probably a good serious question, and feel free to make some suggestions on what we should do with the houses, but go ahead.
So I think one of the meetings that I attended, there was a gentleman that came and he had some
Yeah.
issues in getting his house bought out. That house has been purchased and he has vacated.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we're at 5 or 6, I think.
I'm sorry.
I think we had 5 or 6
I
houses.
think it was 6 houses.
Yeah.
I don't know, just right offhand, that they're all been taken care of.
We are going through the process of, we're generating the RFP to put out for abatement and demolition.
Okay, good.
Can those
Will not be
houses be
restored.
sold and moved?
Now, many of them are damaged, severely
Okay.
damaged by
Yeah,
flooding.
have you had the opportunity to order? I mean,
No, I
I'm not
haven't.
trying, I'm not criticizing you.
No,
but
I need to go
mean,
and
it's
look at it.
rough. Well, yeah,
Okay.
you do, I guess, in a way you should. It's an unfortunate situation, but it's, I'm just glad we were all
Okay.
as a community, were able to take care of that because it was a bad thing.
All
Now,
right.
the question was, what do we want to do?
What do
with
we want to do with the property? It's
Um,
not something we need, figure out right now, but something to think about long term.
What's the total acreage?
1.5.
1.5 acres?
That's just a total guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not more than
I'm
2.
not
Not
sure,
certain on
yeah,
that.
I'm not sure what it is, but there's been several folks. Eddie, I think that's in your district.
It is.
In speaking to Jim years ago on that, a park or just, level it, put a little park there.
It's going to be our responsibility.
And
Well,
that's,
it is our responsibility.
yeah, so.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to do anything there on that property that would cause flooding on additional
Right.
properties.
And because they
So-
were grant funds as well, we have restrictions on what we could do
Yeah.
there. I think a passive park was one of the permissible uses.
Conditions or
Maybe a
suggestions.
detention pond or something,
That might be-
to handle the water when it
Listen,
comes
man,
to.
I
I'm not
remember
fishing
back
pond.
in the day when that place would rain, I would just like, that would be sometimes my first place I went. That I would go into there, it's just rough, but I guess we need to think about what needs to be done about it. So just be thinking about it.
And when is that RFP going out?
It's being developed right now.
Okay.
It should go out by the end of this year. We're supposed to have the project closed out by June.
We have till June to decide what to do with the property.
That's right. June of next year, so let's just put it back on it. Put it back in the backside.
That's right.
Okay, now, we've done that. So let's go on to other agenda items and, let's just get it out of the way on the light synchronization update. Is there
Good
any
news.
information?
Good news.
There really is no new news. As I shared at Capital Projects last, and we spoke last time, I had submitted the revised plans to TDOT on August 20th. They had requested some additional clarification just 2 weeks after. I provided that the same day. I have requested an update. She had not sent the plans on the program monitor through TDOT until September 22nd. And I have requested additional status updates, but I haven't back yet.
Did she say how long a typical review would take?
You and I've been in state.
We-
You are.
we-
You know that.
We optimistically allocate typically anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks for that. She would say it's typically a 30-day review. But as we know, sometimes that takes longer. And it did go out to several departments, divisions within TDOT, so
Okay.
just waiting to hear back.
I'll be happy to talk to our state representatives next week. They're in special session right now. So getting their attention on something other than that is sort of difficult. They've been very responsive to us when we've asked for status updates like this. And no offense to Sarah, but and no offense to anybody else in the room, but a state legislator calling TDOT tends to get a response.
Seems like we need some political.
I think you're right.
And they start
Awesome.
tomorrow, correct?
They had some pre-meetings, I know before, I think it was yesterday. So.
All right, any further discussion from anyone in the room? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and let's go with trash collection update.
So September, we had a significant spike in our trash where we were experiencing roads and areas rolling over to the following day. We discussed that a little bit last meeting as well, but this trend over the last couple of weeks, we have seen a downward trend in those misses. They have been current every day as far as picking up their routes, which is very encouraging. And the call-ins and the form reporting misses have been down significantly from what they were.
So question, I noticed that the garbage provider for Metro has filed for bankruptcy. And they say that it's not going to harm it. So we're not getting any feel of problems financially with this provider, are we?
I have not.
Okay. Second question, in all of the misses, I believe I know the answer to this, but in all the misses, have they reached the bogey of being fined?
No,
They have not.
they have not.
Thank you. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Very impressive chart. I hope people at home can see this, but it is trending downward and that's very impressive.
That is
That looks
very
like
good.
my EK. That trending down.
Looks like my 401k.
Or we could say that looks like my stocks. We were just talking about that guy. I took a hit, but it'll come back. It always does.
I'm sure gas prices.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Is that going to affect us? Just yes or no about it? Because we do a contract on our gas, so it's locked in for until we resubmit. Okay, good. Let's go ahead with asphalt repair, an RFP update.
Hello, Ms. Jamie.
So as we discussed, and we did, working with Metro, we formulated an RFP for small asphalt repair.
Right.
Went out October 11th, and that will close on November 4th. We'll be able to evaluate and make award.
Yes.
And that will include infrared and also some longitudinal joint repairs, which we are in need of.
Now, those are the better patches, right?
Yes.
Those two are that's just not throwing cold patch down and
Right.
tamping it.
These will be very good repairs. The infrared specifically is really beneficial in some of our areas where the rest of the pavement is in really good condition, but we just have, subgrade failure, whatever, they'll dig it out and fill it back in with good mix. And then the infrared actually heats up the boundaries and reseals it. So it's watertight and really protects.
And how, once we do the RFP, I don't know how it's drafted, but how much money will we have to be able to use that contract?
I anticipate having, we have the maintenance funds that were in the budget, which I think we did 150,000 maybe for that, or maybe it was 125,000.
And we were under budget of about 50,000.
That's correct.
So we've got that we can patch.
Yes. Yeah, we would use those for the maintenance.
That's good.
Any other discussion on that? That's a good news.
It is.
All right, let's go to our leaf bag collection update. How is that going? How's that working this year?
So far, the crew, the roads division, they're doing a good job.
Okay.
keeping up with it for now. It is starting to pick up, of course. We are waiting on the quote from Waste Pro to pick up those bags and provide that service for us. Then we can evaluate the best way forward with that. With that, I would like we put an update on our website and also I think on Facebook for some do's and don'ts for leaf bags. And if it's okay, I'd like to just go ahead and go over some of that now.
Sure.
So all leaves should be in paper bags, which can be sourced from local hardware stores. No plastic, please no trash. Those do go to our city landfill. And then if we could have people set them out on Sundays, they'll be collected on Mondays and Tuesdays. That's the plan.
Is that every Monday and Tuesday?
Yes, they run every Monday and Tuesday. And then also, it's just for loose leaves, grass and clippings, no dirt. Lays the bags down.
I should know this. Have you done a flyer that we can put out on social media?
Rod has put out information on Facebook and the city website.
Okay.
Mhm,
So I can go there and get that and then just cut and paste and
certainly.
put it out on
Mhm.
Facebook. Okay.
And Tina Lee, actually, I believe, will be writing a little article about this as well.
I think that's coming out this week. The
Okay.
article.
That's good.
I have found that people are upset they can't use plastic bags until I explain to them
Right.
that we're trying to save the city money
Mhm,
and space in landfills, and that this is something we can recycle. It's a poor man's version of recycling.
mhm.
And so once I explain that to them, they're pretty much okay with it. Just, oh, well, I didn't know that. All right, I'll do it. So we're getting pretty good at agreement by the citizens. I mean, aren't we on that?
We are, and I think we're doing a better job of communicating too. I think that makes a big difference.
Great, thank you.
All righty, any further discussion on the leaf bag collection update? Glad to hear it's going well this year. Because that's like a roll of the dice. You just never know, year by year, you never know what it's going to be like. Let's go with the old Drakes Creek and New Shackle Island improvements.
So y'all asked me to contact somebody that could work as a consultant with
Oh, yeah.
us, to get the state to buy in a little bit more of this project, as well as to work with the county commission. We did sit down with Anthony Holt and asked him to get involved, and Anthony's willing to get involved, but he said the key to that is the county commission really has to decide that they're going to spend some more money on this. And he gave us sort of a pathway to get that done. The person that y'all recommended that we talked to as far as a consultant is agreeable to doing that. Feels like the cost would be about $20,000 to help with that, but the rewards, the possible payoff is multiple times that. And I feel confident that group can get it done. They're gonna send me over a contract probably the next couple of days.
So would the contract be for only this project?
That's what we've asked for so far. It's just this project. I could foresee that we'd want it to be for additional projects down the road. Now, I've also
That
talked
would be a
to,
good idea.
State Representative Johnny Garrett, and he's getting up to speed on this and is talking to TDOT, because he quite frankly didn't quite understand why TDOT hasn't addressed this already.
It's a state highway.
He was very surprised.
Yeah.
And he knows that intersection very well, and he knows the treacheries, we'll say, of this intersection very well. So.
Well, I think this is a good move. We've hired consultants in the past, technical consultants. This consultant's going to try to be an influencer
Right.
in the process, dealing with both the state and the county commission. And I believe the person that is being discussed, has great relationships with that and also understands the technical side of it. So do you need a motion on this, or what do you need?
Not really. Probably what we'd do is we'd go ahead and look at the money that's in Public Works budget right now, but we'll probably ask to possibly replenish that at mid-year. We had not anticipated using $20,000 from professional services for this. And we might need to move money into professional services to do this. But then when we get to mid-year, we're going to have to look at everything that Sarah has, as well as what the expectation are of the Public Works Department because we just added an expectation.
Right.
But we're saving money on personnel. That's the good news and the bad news.
By we, you mean Sarah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
so you can find that money, can't you, Jesse, in that budget?
Yes, so
For that
overall, Public
purpose.
Works is gonna be down from what our prediction was.
Does this require a traffic study?
The state has done one.
It's
So
been
it's-
completed.
Okay, good.
It warranted a signal and also a southbound left turn lane.
Because of accidents.
Okay, good. That's
That
more
was good.
savings
That was my
there.
question about that.
And,
if that was
and
included.
the state has committed. Can I say it?
I think you guys.
The state has committed $100,000.
Where you go.
Of course, that's a drop in the bucket to what is needed to spend there to make it safe. I think it's
But that's a good sign. I mean, I know
It
it may
is.
not seem
is.
like a lot, but really dealing with, the state, because you think of all the programs they have to deal, in 99 counties, and they've offered 100. That kind of tells you that they're on board with something.
Yeah.
It's not like just go away money. Like that should go away. But that's good news. Okay. Well, we'll look forward to further information from you on the
That's all
Drake
we need.
Street, New Shackle Island improvement situation there. Now the ARPA funds update.
Yeah, I wanted to just kind of give everyone an update where we're at. That's the American Rescue Plan Act. And this is COVID related, so a lot of people will call it COVID funds or ARP for American Rescue Plan. The city of Hendersonville is being awarded over 5.9 million. The first half of that we've already received. Initially, the comptroller had kind of market this as funds that are going to be readily available, but the Treasury still hasn't issued final guidance on how to spend the funds. However, when the Treasury does issue final guidance, I think it'd be good for the city to be well poised to go ahead and submit a list of projects so that we don't wait until they issue the plan and then we go through the review. Now, it was expected that the final guidance was going to be out sooner. So at that point, I said, well, it can make sense for us just to wait to get it, but it's getting drug on. So when I look through the potential ARP items that staff has considered, many of them are public works related. On our list, we have stormwater projects, parking lots being redone to mitigate stormwater, Wi-Fi in the parks. We had police and fire premium pay, HVAC upgrades, inline hockey water line extensions. So many of the items were public works related. I think it would probably be a good idea to have a workshop just to discuss the potential uses that we could use ARP funds for. And when the state does open up the review period, we could be situated to go ahead and submit a plan at that time, whether the final guidance has come out or not. So I don't know if this committee would feel comfortable spearheading a workshop or recommending maybe it goes to capital projects, but I wanted to at least get the conversation going so that the city can be prepared to have a plan put together to submit to the state.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah,
Just have the dollar amounts on them
no, it doesn't.
projected.
It does not. It just has.
And it's probably a workshop that needs to be scheduled as soon as possible. I mean, like.
No, I agree. I mean, it's better to have all our ducks in a row when we submit all this, that we know it looks far better that you've got a plan and you're ready to execute it.
And I have issued a request for qualifications for a consultant to help on putting the eligibility list together. So that went out last week. I've contacted a couple firms individually to let them know. So we're going to have some resources to help us as well.
Which are reimbursable from the fund.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes,
So it
sir.
won't cost the budget.
Because what you could end up doing is you could submit projects to the state reviews them and says, no, these aren't eligible. And then you're back at the drawing board. So I think it would make sense for us to strategize with a firm who's really dedicated to understanding the uses so that we can, whatever we submit is going to be as projects we can actually
Yeah.
complete and not have to resubmit. So I think it'll help streamline the process.
How readily available are they?
The RFQ closes in, I think, 2.5 weeks or 3 weeks from now. And it stated that they would have to be ready to immediately enter into a contract with the city. And we've already worked on a lot of the plans. So I think we'll have a lot of information already ready, but it'd be nice to have a second set
So
of eyes.
can we meet before you have that person selected? Or should we wait and have a workshop and include them?
I don't think it would hurt to meet before. We could wait, but I think we might end up doing 2 meetings anyway. So the first meeting maybe can be a little rougher, and then we can get some estimates put together, submit that run it through a consultant, and have a second meeting to kind of button things up. And I think there's still things that we can submit to the state that I think are pretty solid from the interim guidance. That necessarily won't have to run through an entire committee first. I think if we're very confident, there's a couple items. Premium pay is one of the items that is laid out pretty well in the interim guidance with how you follow that process. But again, the state doesn't open up their eligibility review until January, so I don't know how long they're going to take once you submit to go through.
So I'd like to be one of the first to submit once they come up with their final guidelines. So we have all of our ducks in a row where we're one of the first municipalities to submit. Of course, others are probably saying that too. So I believe the first is with the mostest.
Absolutely. There's urgency and we're staring down a lot of holidays right around the corner. So I think we need to meet as soon as possible with the workshop and whatever interested parties there are.
I agree with you. Yes, sir.
From the conversation with other mayors, nobody is as far along the process as we are. And I appreciate what Jesse's done. Is everybody's getting to the point that they're skittish on making a decision because they're not getting the direction. But at the same time, I am hearing from people that are willing to be our consultants for us. One of those was in engineering, and one of those was in accounting. So no telling what kind of responses we're gonna get, but we're ahead of most of the other cities. I haven't heard anybody as far as long.
Well, good. Let's continue that.
It is. Proactive is good.
I love the idea that we want to use these funds to pay for the water line at the inline hockey. That's over $100,000. And that we possibly could use this for the HVAC system of Fire Hall 7, which would reduce our cost there, and which we know is going to be a lot higher.
Get us down to 4.1.
Yeah, and much higher. So in this workshop,
Yes,
I
sir.
guess the chairman's has agreed that we'll sponsor.
Sure.
What's the objective of the first workshop? To set priorities or to just brainstorm, to hear what, give me your idea of what the objective is for the first workshop.
Yeah, I would think we could brainstorm and begin to present priorities. I think based on what gets presented during a workshop, staff could go back and kind of dig into the guidance to see eligibility based on the interim guidance and come back with some recommendations based on specifics, and then develop a finalized priority list, maybe at meeting 2.
Well, there'd be a lot of people in line for Christmas presents when we start setting priorities. But the federal guidelines are very restrictive. They're very restrictive.
Yeah, and even though there's 5.9 million, that goes very quickly when you start doing. I
Yeah,
mean,
when
it
you
could
start,
be,
yeah.
it could be one project.
You're
It could be
right.
2 projects. But from staff's perspective, for us to go ahead and set those priorities without input in a public meeting, we're a little hesitant to do that. So as much as, there might be conflicting interests in what we do, it at least gives us a direction where we can start plowing it.
That's the role of government. Deal with conflicting interest.
So if you'd like, I will set up a workshop that the Public Works would sponsor, and obviously you all can be invited in, and we can go.
Look, one question, should tonight's meeting knock on wood, we'll be there.
Don't.
I'm not gonna say, I'm getting ready to. Should we, or should I say anything about this until we get it set up to what we're doing and then announce it? Or what, because I don't want to poison the well. so
I
to
don't
speak.
think it would hurt to say that we're gonna plan a workshop.
Okay.
And I'll push
And
out.
then-
Goes
details.
along with
and
being
then I'll-
proactive.
And then I'll ask where, when you come up to discuss it a little further,
Sure.
because,
Do you want me to look at dates between now and 7 o'clock?
Is that something we could hold here at City Hall, or would we need a larger venue?
We can probably do it here.
I would hope so, yeah. I think probably like the budget workshop, get some tables set up.
Because it's open to the public, is that
Has to be-
correct?
Has to be.
yeah, I don't anticipate a billion people coming. to
Or
see
maybe
us.
we could also ask for emails or texts, would that be possible? Or people could mail in ideas?
Yeah,
We
we'll
can
put
do
public,
that.
we'll put public notice out for the workshop and invite everyone to
Okay.
attend. And my information will be available for anyone to submit questions to.
Do you want me to look at dates and present a couple options tonight, or do you want to just introduce the idea that, because we do not have to decide on a workshop date at a public meeting.
Right.
That's something I can send out to email and then ask
Why don't
everybody
we
to
do
be
it
here.
that way? Because that way it cuts time here, and then it also gets people, they can look at their email or letter or however you want to send it, and then they can come look at their calendars.
Okay with that?
Yeah, I would prefer, Mayor, that you would work with the Chairman Skidmore and come up a date that's agreeable to us. And hopefully the other aldermen would come, just like Chairman Brown did.
Yeah,
On the
I think
redistricting.
they will, because that's such a critical
Mhm.
thing for our city, actually.
Yes.
Oh, my Lord.
The hardest part is other meetings that are scheduled right now, as well as the possibility of a special planning commission meeting, a couple other special meetings.
Tis the season.
It is.
Oh, yeah. All right, excellent. Now under other agenda items, just have this one thing. I almost forgot. I received a letter from Mount Haven Green from their board of directors on the they work like a homeowners association, and what they have asked or formally requested of this committee is to go ahead and, which we've normally done, is to pass this to reduce their speed limit to 25 miles an hour. Now, what that will do is that goes, if it passes this evening, which I assume that it will, it goes to your office, actually, in
Yes.
Public Works, and then you all take a look at the
We'll do a speed. study.
yeah, they'll go into depth about it. That was sort of the way that it used to be. And then, of course, traffic and safety, do they still get involved in that at all?
Traffic and parking.
Traffic and
Yes.
parking used to be called traffic and safety.
Mhm.
Again, what is it? What's that vitamin that you take for memory? I need to start taking that. So, but anyway, that's what it used to be. I've driven out there. Years ago, I represented Mount Haven Green, and my personal opinion is they have a very valid point that it should be reduced 10 miles an hour. And so I would ask the board just to pass it on there. Now, here's the deal, though. If they look at it and they don't agree to it, or they say, I don't think there's not enough cars out there, whatever, then that'll be up. What happens then? You just tell them, right? You just send them an email.
We send the agenda from traffic and parking to the mayor. And then he typically will say, go ahead and send the agenda to Public Works Committee,
Okay.
or just go ahead and implement.
Because and we've had in the past, before you guys came on, we used to have some really knockdown, drag out fights in Ward 5 about traffic safety and things like that, which, I don't blame them for what, for people coming up or their homeowners association president coming up and explaining to us because they're just doing their job, and I respect that a great deal. And it's not only that, but it's all over the city, but this is our first one. Probably will be our last one before next year. So if there's no objection, I just need a motion to move it into her. Okay. If there's no objection, we won't even make a motion. We'll just ask for you all, and I'll give this to you. And they did the proper procedure by mailing it to me. And that was the proper thing to do instead of emailing it, but they did both. And they did a phone call. So they did phone call, email, and mail. So I commend them for doing the proper procedure for that.
What's the typical speed limit of subdivisions?
Our new subdivisions now are typically signed at 25 miles per hour.
Okay. So this would be in
And it would be in line
accordance with
right.
other developments, okay? Makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And, but if you all ever get the chance, run out there to that lovely subdivision. Monthaven Green's a beautiful place. It really
Okay.
is. And you can
Definitely.
go in there and get y'all, and then run by Dairy Queen, get you something.
Okay.
Some ice cream or something.
We will do that.
So, yeah, I'm in complete agreement to send that to the committee. We're, I don't know if y'all, but we're having a lot of trouble in our ward with speeders in neighborhoods.
Mhm.
And it's almost impossible for the police to be everywhere at one time.
Mhm.
But I know that in your committee looking at putting in the what do they call speed tables, adding them in with the process of how people can request those
Mhm.
if they meet certain parameters.
Mhm.
So I just, a few years ago, there were, the state allowed municipals to put up speed monitors at red lights. And if you ran a red light, you can, well, that got a lot of heat. I wish that the state would give us authority in neighborhoods where there's safety issues, that we could put up some portable cameras for speeding.
Yeah.
But maybe that's a discussion I can have with Johnny or some of the legislators. I did have a question. Where do we stand on filling some of the personnel in public works? Because I know there's a number of vacancies, and I know you're trying. I'm just wanting a status update.
Sure. So the city engineer, assistant public works director position, requisition has been out probably about a month now. We received, I think, 4 applications. So I intend to go ahead and call this week and schedule interviews for the 4 that we've received. And then the assistant city engineer position is still out from its initial requisition. We haven't received any new applicants, but that's kind of on hold. My intention was to hire the assistant public works director and city engineer first. And then with their help, staff, the rest of the department down. We do have internal recruitments open right now for the roads department for operator 2s and 3s. And shortly we will be advertising for additional operator 1s, and that will be external for new employees.
I know I'm on a board that it's a timeshare, and the timeshare, it's a Marriott timeshare, and the boards had to increase the salaries because of not being able to find employees. I mean, they're having, so Jesse, are you seeing we're having to do that? We're having to bump up salaries to compete in the marketplace?
So what initially on the city engineer when it was posted, and that's been somewhat standard practice with the city, is to list the starting salary. But we have asked HR on a go forward, anytime there's professional type positions or positions that are just tough to recruit for, that we list the salary range, and it depends on the qualifications of the applicant.
Good.
So that we're not hamstrung to the lowest salary. And that's one of the tools we use for codes. Codes had been below staff for, I think, over a year. And we had some that negotiated in a little bit above the bottom, and they're fully staffed now. So we have done that with the city engineer position and hope to get more qualified applicants.
Great.
Sounds good, man. We're rocking and rolling, trying to get things done. That's the main thing. So, is there any further discussion for this evening?
I would like to thank Jesse and the staff for these new staff reports.
Very good.
This really explains everything. And I might not have to ask so many questions.
Me neither. Well, I can't make that promise.
Yeah,
Well,
but thank you for that.
And staff's done a really good job putting that
Yes,
together.
very good.
I know when I first got, I go, "Oh, that's what I was gonna ask," you know, like, yeah, and then the next one over, that's what I was gonna ask. So it does make things go by a lot more pleasant. So I appreciate you doing that. Appreciate also the thing being at City Hall, because it's easier for me and to just run in there and get it. And so I'm grateful for that. This last meeting, I was up here, I can't remember what I was up here for. I'd come by to drop something off. And they were getting ready to get everybody's all together, and they just gave me mine. You know, I was just fortunate, but it's a good thing going to the police department. You get to talk to the officers, you know, and that kind of thing. So I need a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
All right. And second, and we'll adjourned at 5:55 this evening.
Great.
Very good. Thank you.
I'll be back in just an hour.
Yes.
Yeah, you'll need to tell us about that.
Oh,
About
she
you
just
all.
had a hip replacement surgery. They had trouble arousing her from the anesthesia. And, but they did get, you know, she came around eventually. She just wouldn't wake up.
Crazy.
And I whispered in her ear, I said, honey, something's ready.
Oh. Get home. Oh, my God.
Wait, is that turned off yet?
Better be.
Oh, my God. Yeah, he's gonna get a whooping when
Yeah.
she sees that.
That's on public record now.
Thank you all. We had a good evening.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you,
all
Sarah.
right. Thank you very much.
Sarah doing a good job.
Yes, she is.
No, she's doing an
Man.
outstanding job.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Good hire,
Yeah, yeah.
Jesse.
So,
I remember when we were talking about sending out or looking in-house to hire, and I turned and just looked at you. and
You
I'm
did.
like, it's a
I
no-brainer.
know.
My
That was-
gosh.
that
And
was
I'm
the
just
easiest
going,
hire
I
ever.
was just like, Sarah, just please stay and say
Yeah, That was
yes.
that was the only thing I was scared about.
Yeah,
But you're doing a good job. You really are. And
absolutely.
we appreciate it because it makes our lives a little easier.
Yeah.
So-
Jesse's made y'all's lives a lot easier.
Yeah,
I know.
Oh, I know, a lot. And
I think from my
Yeah,
perspective.
and that's good. Glad to hear from inside
Mhm.
how that's benefiting.
Yeah.
well, I will tell you this, a lot of my phone calls have, since you and Jesse have kind of taken the reins on us, a lot of my phone calls have gone down.
Good.
Now, my emails,
Yeah.
they're still emails, but my phone calls, are a lot shorter
Mhm.
than they have.
That's
been,
good.
Which I'm grateful for.
That's good.
Because normally people, if they don't get satisfaction from City Hall, they're gonna
Oh,
call
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And that's what happens, and
I'm glad to hear that.
so,
Trying to.
So you have cloud, is that what you're saying?
well, no, they just know I've been there for a while. And
I can't even get a dead deer picked up.
did they ever pick the
I
one I
have-
called?
I have
that you
no
called me on?
authority.
Also,
Just
we
call
did-
me and we'll
I
get it
should have
taken care
mentioned
of.
that we did add on the I want to tab on the city's website. If they can report, there's now a spot for
For deer?
dead-
Okay.
dead animals. Yeah. So they
Yeah,
can
because
report
that's
it
what
through there.
I'd like to get some just clear policy on what happens when you call. Because I've even called and
Yeah.
I've been bounced around
Have
from
you?
animal control to public works and then this front desk officer and
Mm.
police. And then somebody said the other day, well, the roads does that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, Trace, and that's where the emails will go. It's directly to Trace. Doesn't say that on there, but that's where it's going.
Yeah.
But he goes out and he lays eyes on it before he calls the
That's
company that
exactly
we use
what
to
he
pick it
does.
up.
Well, and I called one in Saturday because it was,
You should
it
have called
was
me.
in front of Indian Lake Elementary, dead on the
Yeah.
sidewalk. And I said, please just get that out before Monday morning. And it was still there Monday morning and those kids are walking to school. Because, you know, we really want to make community livability,
Sure.
walkability. And I just can't imagine
Yeah,
kids seeing it.
it's
And they're
traumatic.
having to step over it or go around because
I know.
it's across the whole side.
Oh,
Listen, I had one, a family that pushed their babies, you know, and they had to go around it, you know, and it's just right there and the baby, you know, I can see the baby just looking at it, you know.
How'd the chili cook-off go?
Wonderful.
Yes.
Made $781, which turns out to be the hull number on my ship in the Navy.
That's
Really?
good.
Okay, that is.
Well, I wanted
good
to, I
thing.
planned on coming. I just couldn't get away.
Uh-huh. I heard that story
Yeah,
before.
yeah, he's saying his mind, he's going, yeah, look at those two damn aldermen. They didn't even show up. Anyway, but thanks for everything here.
No
And
problem.
if
Have
you
a
need
good night.
anything, holler at us.
See ya.
You
Okay.
too. See ya.
Okay.
Yeah, we had a pretty good day. It's a little lower, but it was too warm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they didn't get to hold the one in February, so I think they'll hold another one in February.
Oh, that's
Yeah, I was gonna
good.
ask, when is your next one?
I think it'll be in February, but that's done by the auxiliary and not by the post itself per se, so. You know, I'm not in charge of that.
Yeah.
Don't have any influence
Right.
on that.
You'll be there to eat. And that's it.
Yeah, I made my chili and ate some of it, so did well, so. Looks like a quiet night tonight, huh?
Let's hope so. Our public works went very smoothly. And yeah, I think tonight should be pretty quick as well.
Yeah.
Now, planning coming up next week is going to be a doozy. And then I think the next BOMA is going to have a
Can I
lot.
watch our
Got another big development coming
meeting
in?
still on?
Yes.
Which side of town is it? Do you know?
I think it's Free Hill Road.
Okay, I know, okay.
Oh, okay.
All right. I know that area, obviously.
They were originally gonna put in a movie place, right?
Yeah, that in the very back. I don't know whatever happened on that. That came back.
What kind of movie
A
place?
stage where you
Yeah.
make
Like a
movies.
studio.
It's back on and it's coming to town. It's gonna be bigger than Twitty City. It's not open to the public, but they're gonna be doing movie production.
Yeah,
Recording, gaming, all kinds of things. They're gonna have a 4D screen, which basically you can shoot any outdoor scene using that. So it's very impressive
okay.
what they're gonna do.
40s mean they added you and me to time, huh?
Yeah, but it's gonna be phenomenal. Now, the building is gonna be 8 stories tall.
So now we're gonna buy a new fire truck, right? Well, there's probably not people up there. It's just tall building, right? So you don't need to
No,
rescue
it's,
people out of the eighth
it's
floor.
it's just a sound
Sound
stage.
stage, yeah.
But,
Big warehouse kind of thing. But,
and I'm not telling any secrets, but it butts up against Vietnam vets. So there's
Okay.
gonna be this big monstrosity. And I asked the mayor, I said, well, we need to have someone paint a June and Johnny mural on it.
yeah, something like
Which,
that.
you know,
Oh, that
would
would
be
be
really
nice.
an eye catcher. We can commission
There we go. We're done.
someone. Oh, was that on now? Everybody knows my secrets. But it's gonna employ 200 people, probably.
Okay.
Big capital investment. It's and it just fell in our lap. Somebody knew the owner of the property who's
We're
got
back
a
on.
business back there. So it